Discover the inspiring moment a millionaire exposed his fiancée's shocking cruelty to the maid. Maria brushed her damp hair back and stared at the grand house before her, with its manicured lawns and bright white pillars. She could almost hear the laughter of children playing just beyond the window. They played games, while she spent her days scrubbing floors and polishing silverware, trying to carve out a slice of hope for her ailing mother. Each dawn marked a new trial, an endless cycle of work that never seemed to let up. Yet, Maria retained a warmth in her spirit, a determination that beat beneath the weight of her struggles. One bright Wednesday morning, as the sun filtered through the trees, she caught sight of Jake. He was dashing, radiating an energy that shone like diamonds in the sunlight. Tall, with playful curls and a welcoming smile, Jake was a millionaire, the type who wore confidence like a tailored suit. He frequently hosted charity events, and his friends were often private jets and cocktail parties. But there he was, intrigued by the sight of Maria diligently tending to her responsibilities, wiping away remnants of dust like she was polishing away the sorrow from her life. Days turned into weeks, and during her shifts, their casual encounters morphed into genuine conversations. Jake's laughter came alive at Maria's stories, the tales of her childhood wrapped in warmth and resilience. He developed a sense of admiration for her work ethic, something refreshingly pure in a world clouded by materialism. As Maria navigated around the clinking glasses at the charity gala, little did she know the web of lives so intricately entwined would soon tear at the seams. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Jake was about to propose to Isabella, a socialite with every entitlement attached. She dazzled on the arm of Jake, her golden locks fixed perfectly, her laughter bubbling over like champagne. As the gala began, Maria found herself balancing trays and weaving between high society conversations. She felt alive watching the world outside the ballroom, dissecting reality from fantasy. But the night spiraled as tension brewed. With an icy grin, Isabella found her target, Maria. The room grew silent, and laughter faded, replaced by the sharp sting of crystal-clear cruelty. Poor maid, look at you, serving us silver spoons while your mother's illness serves you woes. Her laughter thundered, a symphony of privilege that drowned out the undercurrents of shock. The room gasped. Jake's heart ached as he bore witness to such disdain. Could someone he thought he loved show such cruelty? Suddenly, he felt trapped between two worlds, one illuminated by love and kindness, the other shrouded in egotism and privilege. But as whispers of indignation ignited throughout the room, he felt Maria's quiet resilience seeping through every crack, carrying weights of dignity and defiance. As the conflict churned in the air, hearts raced, and eyes darted wildly around the room. Maria, facing contempt, appeared stronger than ever. Would Jake finally choose love over privilege? Would he confront Isabella? The crowd held its breath, anxious and expectant, waiting for a moment that bridged class divides, a moment that could redefine their lives forever. Jake's heart thundered in his chest as he faced the palpable tension. The room buzzed in hushed whispers, conversations suspended, all eyes on him. He could feel the two worlds pulling at him, one of privilege represented by Isabella and one of resilience personified by Maria. As he cast a glance toward Isabella, her smug smile faltered for the briefest moment when she caught his steely gaze. In that split second, something shifted inside him. The laughter, once light and carefree, felt heavy as though shackled by the awful truth. He always prided himself on being generous and fair, yet here he was, witnessing cruelty masked by glittering elegance. This felt different, deeply wrong. Isabella opened her mouth to snare him back, to weave her charm around the crowd once more. "Jake, darling," she began, threading sweetness into her words. "Let us not take this too seriously. It's all in good fun, right?" But the damage was done. Jake's reality splintered. He felt a radiant warmth emanating from Maria, a quiet strength that shone brighter than any ballroom chandelier. Every ounce of his being urged him to stand up for her. "Isabella," he said, his voice steady and firm, "that was uncalled for. Maria deserves our respect, not your disdain." A ripple of surprise ran through the crowd. Maria's breath caught in her throat. The emotion in his voice wrapped around her like a protective shield. She had often felt invisible in a world where she worked tirelessly just to scrape by. But now, illumination filled her veins. Someone saw her, recognized her worth beyond what she did for a living. The gasps turned into whispers, and then into murmurs of agreement from the guests. A few even nodded. Reassured by Jake's courage, his action felt like a small revolution against the pretentiousness around them. "How dare you speak to me like that?" Isabella yelled, her composure shattering like fragile glass. The room held its breath again, collective shock latching onto the air. Jake, emboldened by Maria's gaze, stepped forward. He shook his head. "This isn't about you or me, Isabella. It's about recognizing the dignity of every person in this room. I refuse to let your arrogance dim the light that people like Maria bring into the world." The audience erupted in applause, the sound electrifying the air as many shifted their loyalties, aligning themselves with the values Jake had so passionately defended. Faces smiled in solidarity. People who once revered Isabella now exchanged glances filled with disbelief. Maria felt the warmth of hope spark within her. The weight she carried lifted, making her feel lighter, stronger. Could it be that this moment would reshape not only her reality but Jake's as well? "Jake, don't be foolish," Isabella spat, her arrogance cracking like ice under pressure. "This isn't a fairy tale. You can't just throw away your future for a mere maid." But Jake held his ground, eyes blazing with conviction. "Not just a maid, Isabella, a person. One who has faced more in her life than you know. And yes, I'm willing to choose love over status." The applause swelled, drawing in more from the guests. Maria felt an exquisite flush spread across her cheeks, not of shame, but of validation. The lines they'd drawn between their worlds began to fade as the crowd continued to cheer for him and for her. A realization slipped silently into Maria's heart. What could come next? Would Jake pursue something beyond this moment, beyond societal barriers? Together? With trembling hope, she questioned herself, could she allow this sweet potential to grow? Or would the specters of their realities draw them back apart? In that uncertain space, a new chapter loomed, one that danced tantalizingly close, just beyond the horizon. The applause swelled around Jake, a wave of affirmation crashing against Isabella's shattered composure. Maria's heart surged, fluttering between hope and disbelief. She had always believed that the world was too rigid, too unyielding to give her a chance at real respect. "Jake," Maria whispered, taking a step forward, her voice barely slicing through the noise. But he didn't hear her. His focus was locked on Isabella, who was now fidgeting with the diamond necklace around her neck, too stunned to respond as the room embraced a different narrative. In that moment, the atmosphere felt electric. People shifted in their seats, eyes darting between Jake and Isabella as the tension thickened. Would he really stand up against the familiar forces of wealth and privilege he had always known? Isabella, still reeling, desperately attempted to regain her footing. "You really think this is going to change anything?" Her voice dripped with condescension, but a hint of fear lurked beneath. "You're just a momentary distraction, Jake. I'm the one who can secure your future." Jake clenched his fists, heart racing. "No," he said, steadier now. "This isn't just about me anymore. It's about standing for what's right." He glanced back at Maria, who was watching him with wide, bittersweet eyes. He could feel her longing, the desire to be seen, to be valued. Around the room, whispers intensified, fueled by curiosity and the thrill of rebellion against Isabella's tyranny. Many of the guests who had once basked in her charm now began to murmur in support of Jake's choice, sensing the winds of change. "Jake, listen," Isabella pleaded suddenly, her tone shifting from anger to desperation. "This will ruin you. You'll go from being the darling of high society to an outcast." Is this what you want? But Jake's heart was full, and he knew the answer. I'd rather be true to myself than live under the shadow of someone who thrives on others' pain. I want to make a difference. A sense of awe filled the room. They were witnessing something rare. An intersection of two worlds that didn't just coexist but clashed with fierce honesty. Slowly, Maria stepped closer to Jake, the warmth of his courage radiating toward her. She was still afraid, the scars of her past stitched deep into her soul. But Jake held a mirror to her. She could choose courage, too. Thank you, she spoke softly, her voice breaking through the murmur. Jake turned to her, a gentle smile breaking out across his features. This was the moment he had been waiting for, a shared acknowledgement of their truth. Was it possible they could build something beautiful together? Then the night shifted again. A newcomer entered the ballroom, a figure draped in mystery, yet unmistakably aligned with the world Jake had chosen to walk away from. Murmurs spread through the crowd as people recognized who it was: the family lawyer, the one who had the power to redefine Jake's future. A cold wave of anxiety washed over Maria. What did this mean? Is she here to take him back? She whispered under her breath, a deep-seated fear creeping in. Jake's expression hardened, and a flicker of worry crossed his face when he spotted the lawyer. He stepped towards Maria, his determination flaring. No one can take me away from what I believe in, he stated resolutely. Yet the tension in the air left a lingering question: would this encounter end their fight for respect and love before it had even truly begun? As the lawyer approached, everyone held their breath, caught between intrigue and unease. What lay ahead seemed uncertain, but one thing was sure: the path before them was no longer a single road. It was a labyrinth filled with twists and turns that would challenge everything they thought they knew about love, loyalty, and true value. Jake, Maria breathed, eyes fixed on him. What if this changes everything? He squeezed her hand firmly, his gaze unwavering. Whatever happens, we'll face it together. But as the lawyer drew near, dark clouds of doubt threatened to invade their moment of hope. The lawyer stepped into the spotlight, her presence commanding attention. She didn't need to say a word. Her stature and the tightness of her jaw spoke volumes. Maria felt a knot form in her stomach as the murmur of the crowd seemed to amplify with every step the lawyer took toward Jake. Jake, she began, her voice calm yet cutting through the air like a knife. We need to talk. Jake didn't flinch. He took a breath, straightening his posture. What are you doing here, Miriam? You know exactly why I'm here, she replied, arching an eyebrow. Your family wants to know where your loyalties lie. This isn't a game, Jake. A surge of anger rippled through him. I'm not interested in what my family wants anymore. I'm done being their puppet. Isabella, still recovering from the shock of Jake's earlier defiance, seemed torn between her allegiance and the growing tension in the room. Jake, think about your future, she urged, her voice shaky. Jake shook his head firmly, turning away from Isabella and focusing back on Miriam. This was his moment now, and he wouldn't let it be diluted. What does that even mean? A future built on lies and manipulation? I refuse to be a part of it. The whispering around the ballroom grew louder, eyes darting between the trio, sensing the gravity of the standoff. Maria felt the heat of the moment seep into her veins, her heart pounding with a mix of fear and excitement. What if this really changed everything? Your reputation is at stake, Miriam pressed, crossing her arms. You'll be the talk of the town, quite the scandal for the famous Jake Henderson, rejecting everything he was groomed for. That scandal might just be the new beginning I need, he shot back, his eyes fierce with conviction. Maybe it's time people saw me for who I truly am, not just as an extension of my family's power. I want to create my own legacy. Maria's heart fluttered at Jake's boldness. He was standing firm, not just for himself, but for all the people like her who felt small and voiceless. She knew this was what it meant to fight. Foolishness, Miriam snapped, frustration evident on her face. You'll be left with nothing. You can't just turn your back on everything you've built. Built on what? Jake countered, his voice rising with passion. On facade? On a constant expectation to please those who don't understand or care about my dreams. In that moment the room fell silent. Everyone was captivated by the raw emotion and palpable tension. Maria could feel the collective breath of the crowd, the anticipation thick enough to slice through. Isabella stepped forward, desperation driving her words. "You're making a huge mistake, Jake. The world is cruel, and you'll regret this choice." Jake looked at Isabella, and for a fleeting second, Maria saw a flicker of doubt cross his face. Yet he steadied himself, glancing back at her, reinforcing their silent bond. "No, I won't regret choosing love over fear. I won't hide anymore." The resolve in his voice left a charged quiet in the air. Yet in the back of Maria's mind, a question loomed large. Was love strong enough to stand against the relentless forces of wealth and power? Suddenly, a loud gasp erupted from the crowd as an astonished guest stepped forward, cutting through the stillness. "Can someone explain what's really happening here?" Eyes turned, uncertainty rippling, leaving Maria's heart racing. She grasped Jake's hand tighter, their connection anchoring her amidst the chaos. No one could have predicted how this night was going to unfold. Would Jake's choice echo triumph or tragedy through their lives? The spotlight caught their faces, especially Miriam's, and Maria braced herself, knowing the next words out of the lawyer's mouth could shatter everything they were fighting for. Miriam took a step closer, the tension in the air palpable. The crowd held its breath, every eye fixed on the lawyer, waiting for a revelation that could change everything. "I think it's time you all learned the truth about your precious Jake and the woman he has chosen," she said, her voice slicing through the murmurs. Maria felt her heart race. What truth? She barely managed to whisper, glancing at Jake. His expression was unreadable, but she could feel the tension mounting around them. Miriam straightened her shoulders, her eyes narrowed. "You think love conquers all? That you can just brush aside years of legacy and expectation? Do you even know who she really is?" Jake clenched his jaw tight, but Maria could sense the tension shifting in him. "Stop it, Miriam. You don't know anything about Maria. She's more than you realize." "Really?" Miriam shot back, a smirk forming on her lips. "Then why don't we let everyone in on a little secret? This maid you've fallen for has some dirty laundry of her own." Gasps echoed through the ballroom, and Maria felt the heat of shame flood her cheeks. She stood frozen, taking a step back as whispers surrounded her. The faces she thought of as friends now wore expressions of disbelief. "What do you mean?" asked Isabella, her voice shaky, clearly torn between defending her friend and the newfound doubts creeping into her mind. Miriam shook her head, feigning innocence. "Let us just say, in a world of privilege, not everyone is as innocent as they appear. Some are using love as a cover for desperation." Before Maria could respond, a niggling doubt crept into her mind. What could Miriam possibly know? The truth felt like molten lava, bubbling just beneath the surface, ready to erupt. "That's not true," she finally spoke, her voice trembling but resolute. "I'm not what she says I am." Jake's grip on her hand tightened. "Listen to me, Maria. You are more than a title. You've shown me strength in a world that seeks to silence you. Don't let her words shatter that." But Miriam wasn't finished. "Oh, but my dear Jake, the truth has a way of wriggling free, doesn't it? You should know that by now. It runs in your family. Are you willing to stand by someone who may bring scandal upon your name? A maid who might just be after your fortune?" "Stop it," Jake shouted, anger boiling over. "You want to play games with people's lives? This isn't just some chess match to win. This is real." The ballroom was buzzing now, the air thick with curiosity and judgment. People craned their necks to hear more, their expressions a mix of interest and horror. Maria felt her chest tightening, and she wanted nothing more than to disappear from this spotlight. "Don't let her taunt you, Maria," Jake urged softly, his fierce gaze never leaving hers. "You know who you are, and I know who you are." A flicker of hope ignited in Maria's chest as she caught his unwavering eye. "But what if she is right?" Jake's face softened. "You're not just a maid, you're a fighter. You deserve to write your own story. Don't let her define you." Maria took a deep breath, steeling herself against the doubts threatening to engulf her. But as she opened her mouth to refute Miriam, Something in her hesitated. What if people only saw her as Miriam portrayed? In that split second, Miriam seized the moment, her voice soaring above the chaos. Everyone deserves to know what they're getting into. Maria, tell us your story. What lies are hidden beneath that humble facade? Eyes turned towards her, anticipation hanging thick in the air. Faced with the onslaught, Maria's heart raced, her thoughts a whirlwind. It felt like standing on the edge of a cliff, the ground trembling beneath her feet. As she stammered, caught between desperation and courage. But before she could utter the truth, another surprised gasp echoed through the crowd. A figure in the back lurched forward, one Maria never expected to see. "Stop this right now," he said, his voice steady, yet something in it made her shiver. It was her estranged father, the shadows of their history hovering ominously. What was he doing here? Maria's heart sank as she locked eyes with him. Would this be the end of everything she fought for, or could it alter their paths forever? As the crowd fell silent once more, one question remained in her mind. Would this confrontation unite them or tear them apart? Maria's breath hitched, her pulse quickening with every second that passed. The man she had tried to forget stood there like a ghost, his presence casting an unexpected shadow over the moment. She was suddenly transported years back, to a time of shame and heartache. "Dad?" The word slipped out before she could rein it in, a whisper barely audible above the crowd's rising murmur. Her chest tightened at the sight of him, the familiar ruggedness, the unshakable demeanor, but also the strain around his eyes that hinted at a tumultuous life after her departure. "Listen to your father, Maria." His voice, although steady, trembled slightly as if the weight of unspoken words pressed on him. "This isn't what you want. You deserve more than this spectacle." The spectators exchanged glances, whispers filling the space as curiosity bubbled. Some people raised their phones, ready to capture the drama unfolding before them. Jake's expression shifted from shock to concern. "What are you doing here?" he asked, his voice tense, protective. "Busy fixing my mistakes, it seems." Her father's gaze turned icy, a flicker of regret mixing with determination. "You don't know what this woman is capable of, Jake. You don't know her past." Miriam seized the opportunity, grinning victoriously. "See? Even her own father knows who she really is." "No, it's not like that," Maria shot back, desperation throwing heat into her words. "You don't get to drag me into your problems. I've made my choices, and I won't let your ghosts haunt me." "Ghosts?" he echoed, disbelief filling his tone. "This isn't about me. It's about you. Your future. You're about to tie your life to someone who exists in a world you barely understand." The crowd leaned in, their faces a tapestry of intrigue and judgment. Maria felt the heat of their scrutiny flush through her cheeks. This wasn't how she envisioned today. She had fought tooth and nail to escape her family's shadow. "Who says I don't understand it?" she shouted, the tremble in her voice now heavy with anger. "You left me. You chose to walk away, while I had to claw my way up from the dirt. I'm not ashamed of where I come from, and I won't hide who I am for anyone." Jake stepped closer to her, his presence a steady anchor. "Maria, you're amazing," he said softly. "You don't need to prove anything to them or to anyone else. Just be yourself." The wall she'd built around her heart trembled at his words. Could she really accept herself, claims and secrets be damned? But her father's disapproving eyes bore down on her. "I can't let you ruin your life," he insisted, as if their past still held some power over her. "You think it's all hearts and flowers? It's not. This world is unforgiving." "Maybe I want to find out for myself," Maria replied, the strength in her voice surprising even her. "Maybe I'm done letting the past control me." Just then, the tension cracked like ice underfoot. "You think this is just about you?" Miriam sneered, her voice dripping with contempt. "It's about the future of your family name. Jake deserves someone who can carry that legacy, not someone like you." "I'm not anyone's legacy," Maria shouted, daring to look away from her father and toward the people who had always held her in disdain. "I'm here to write my own story, not to follow a wretched script. And if that's a problem for you," she paused, facing Jake, her heart pounding with fear yet hope. Then so be it. The ballroom fell into utter silence, a stillness that crackled with raw energy. Her father looked taken aback, the bravado faltering for an instant. As murmurs erupted once again, and the crowd buzzed like bees around a hive, one thing loomed over Maria's heart. Had she truly broken free, or had she just stirred the pot, inviting more chaos to her life? The weight of their gazes felt heavier than ever, her father's presence reminding her of everything she fought to escape. But as she squared her shoulders, determination ignited within her. The truth was coming, but would she be ready to face it? The moment hung in the air, electric with potential. What could possibly follow this clash of wills, this revelation of courage? Maria could feel the delicate thread of fate swinging between her choices as the impending confrontation loomed closer. Would they face it together, or would it all unravel at the seams? The air was thick with tension, the kind that pulled at the fabric of reality, warping everything around Maria. She could sense Jake's concern as he stood beside her, but all she felt was a whirlwind of emotions: hurt, anger, and something almost primal that insisted she stand her ground. "Let us go, Maria," her father insisted, his voice hovering between desperation and anger. He reached out as if to pull her away, but she stepped back, shaking her head. "No, Dad, this is my choice. You don't have the right to dictate my life anymore." The conviction in her voice surprised her, but it did little to quell the urgency of the moment. There was a fire in her. It flickered and danced, igniting the whispers of the crowd. "Maria," he said, his voice rising just slightly, "you're about to make a mistake you can't undo." Miriam chuckled darkly, the sound slicing through the air. "Look at her, acting all brave. It's rich, really." She turned to the crowd, her smile sharp as glass. "She thinks she can prove something. But the truth is a chain she'll never escape." Miriam's words cut deeper than Maria anticipated, provoking a familiar sting of doubt. Had she truly escaped, or was she simply walking into another trap? Her father's face darkened at his daughter's defiance, but Maria found herself glancing at Jake. He was watching her with an intensity that made her heart race, his unwavering support giving her strength. "Just be yourself," he had said. But what did that even mean? Her father was right. In some ways the world was a cold, harsh place, and she'd spent years clawing through it. But she couldn't allow herself to crumble now. "You don't know me," Maria said, her voice steadier than it had been seconds ago. "You think I'm still that scared little girl? I've built my own life, and I'm proud of what I've become. I will not let anyone belittle that, especially not you." The crowd's energy shifted, murmurs rising again as curiosity turned into an electrifying buzz of support. Some cheered, others gasped, but all eyes remained on the showdown between the father and daughter. Her father's expression softened just a bit, his own memories of her childhood dancing in the corners of his eyes, but it quickly hardened again. "You're blind, Maria. Do you think that playing dress-up in this lavish world will grant you happiness? Maybe happiness is not what I'm looking for," she retorted, each word piercing with clarity. "Maybe I want to take risks to face my fears. I'm ready for the truth, whatever it may hold." Jake took a step closer, wrapping support around her like a warm blanket. "That's right. It's about time you embraced who you are. You fought too hard to be ashamed now." Maria felt his words settle in her chest, bubbling with warmth that chased away any lingering doubt. But as the crowd erupted into applause, she couldn't shake that nagging question: what was really at stake? Miriam stepped forward again, her smile now a taunt. "Well, it seems you've got your fans, Maria. But tell me this. Do they know everything?" "What do you mean?" Maria's heart raced, fear tangling with resolve. "Let us see how brave you are when the truth crashes down around you," Miriam replied, an unsettling glint in her eyes. As disbelief coursed through her, an icy shiver crept along Maria's spine. Her heart sank. Was it possible Miriam held secrets that could tear her story apart? The electricity in the room crackled once more, anticipation hanging in the air like a thunderstorm waiting to unleash itself. Maria's pulse quickened as she faced the woman who could potentially unravel everything she fought for. In that moment, the crowd waited with bated breath. The stakes had risen higher than she imagined. Could she withstand the storm? Or would the truth plunge her into shadow once more? The next chapter of her life hung in the balance. How would she face the revelations lurking just out of sight? Would she emerge stronger or shattered, her dreams slipping through her fingers? The crowd held their breath, the moment heavy with unspoken possibilities. Maria's heart raced, thoughts swirling like leaves caught in a storm. Every face stared back at her, a mixture of anticipation and judgment glimmering in their eyes. She felt Jake's hand on her shoulder, warm and steady, but the uncertainty wrapped around her like a shroud. Miriam seemed to relish the tension, her eyes sparkling like dark jewels. "You really want to know how brave you are?" she taunted, her voice slick as oil. "Then let us peel back those layers, shall we?" "What layers?" Maria shot back, her voice trembling with a mix of fear and defiance. "What else could you possibly have to say?" Miriam's smile widened, dripping with sinister delight. "Oh, Maria, you have no idea how deep the rabbit hole goes. You think it's just you against me? Think again. What if I told you your beloved Jake isn't who you think he is?" A gasp echoed through the crowd, a wave of disbelief washing over them. Maria's heart dropped, her pulse echoing in her ears. "What are you talking about?" she demanded, trying to keep the tremor from her voice. "Oh, I've seen more than you realize. You're playing house, Maria. What if Jake's past is more twisted than you could ever imagine? They always say people are defined by those they surround themselves with, right? What do his closest friends think of you?" Maria cringed at the implication. What friends? Did she even know who Jake really was? "Stop!" she yelled, fighting back the rising tide of doubts. "You have nothing. This is just bull. Get to the point." The crowd murmured nervously, the buzz of chatter crescendoing in the tension of expectation. Jake stepped forward, a protective barrier. "Miriam, leave. You're crossing a line." But Miriam held her ground, her laughter ringing cruelly. "This line? Oh, Jake, you should know it's impossible to erase the past. I have receipts, darling." She leaned closer, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "Shall we share some secrets?" Maria's heart raced, panic clawing at her chest. She could feel the battle within her, the desire for truth battling the instinct to shield herself from pain. She locked eyes with Jake, searching for reassurance. But his expression was serious, contemplative. What could he be hiding? How well did she really know him? "I won't let you manipulate my life," she declared, her voice trembling but resolute. "You won't win by throwing shadows in my way." Miriam chuckled, a cold, unsettling sound. "Oh, but shadows have a way of revealing true colors." Before Maria could respond, Jake spoke, firm and steady. "Maria, listen to me. Trust in what we have. I will always be honest with you." But would he? The words danced in her mind, echoing against a wall of uncertainty. She felt the audience's gaze seeping into her, as if they could read the very fabric of her worries. "Believe him, Maria," came a voice from the crowd, and she turned to see a woman with tears in her eyes, an unexpected ally. Yet as the shadows lengthened, doubt surged through her. What if this was the moment everything she fought for began to unravel? What truth lay buried in the depths of her world? With her hands trembling at her sides, Maria felt the weight of choices pressing down, fight against Miriam's lies or step back and risk losing everything. The stakes had never been higher. The truth was just a breath away, but was she ready for its revelation? The air crackled with unanswered questions, and the crowd, once supportive, now simmered with curiosity and fear. What awaited her on the other side of the secrets Miriam hinted at? As her heart beat loudly in her chest, Maria knew one thing for sure. She had to decide her next move, and fast. Would she dare to unearth the hidden truths, or would she take a step back, shielding herself in ignorance? Yet again, Maria took a deep breath, feeling the weight of all those eyes on her like a heavy blanket. She knew she had to act. Either she would let fear dictate her choices, or she would stand and face whatever ugly truth was waiting in the shadows. Fine, she said, her voice steadier than she felt. Let us hear those secrets. Miriam's grin widened, delight dancing in her eyes. Oh, honey, you're in for a real treat. Jake's grip tightened on her shoulder. Maria, don't know, she interrupted sharply. I want to know. I need to know. Miriam turned to the crowd, her eyes gleaming with theatrical fervor. This is a tale as old as time, folks. A classic story about a girl who thinks she knows her prince, only to find out he's got a little more baggage than she bargained for. With that, Miriam reached into her bag and pulled out a handful of photographs, their edges curling slightly, revealing bits and pieces of lives intertwined. As she flashed the first image, a collective gasp rippled through the crowd. Maria's heart raced as her worst fears began to unfold in front of her. Miriam held a photo of Jake, younger, unkempt, and surrounded by dark figures that seemed almost menacing. Look at him. Jake and his charming friends, an exclusive club for bad decisions and darker paths. Family members? Friends? You might want to ask him. Repulsion and disbelief washed over her. They were right. What did she know about Jake's past? Was he truly the man she believed him to be? The photos continued to cascade, each one a dagger aimed right at her heart. No, Jake's voice broke through the noise, a hint of desperation creeping in. That was years ago. I was young. I was lost. I've changed. Maria, have you really? Miriam sneered. Or is this just the facade you've built? A pretty picture hiding a disgusting truth? We all make mistakes. Jake pleaded, his eyes darting back to Maria. I'm not that person anymore. I fought my way back. For us. Maria felt torn in two. She wanted to believe him, no, she needed to, but doubt wormed its way into her mind, fueled by Miriam's relentless onslaught. Can I trust you? She whispered, her eyes locked onto Jake's, searching for anything that would reassure her. His expression was raw, the weight of his past crumbling behind his resolve. You can. Promise. I never wanted you to see any of this. It's behind me. What if it rises again? Maria asked, voice trembling. The crowd was eager, waiting for her response, hoping or perhaps fearing what she would decide. Tell me you're ready to face it with me, Jake urged, his hands squeezing hers tighter, as if anchoring them both to this fractured moment. Tell me you believe in the person I am now. Maria, someone shouted from the crowd, pulling her attention. A woman she recognized, with soft features and kind eyes. You have the right to know the truth. Whatever it looks like, don't shy away from it. The atmosphere shifted slightly, a collective intake of breath from the crowd, as if they all felt the weight of truth pressing down on them. In that moment, Maria understood that the truth wasn't just about Jake's past. It was about her, their connection, and what she truly wanted. Miriam's laughter snapped her back, cruel and mocking. This is just the tip of the iceberg, darling. What do you think you even know? Tension hung in the air thick as fog. Maria's world felt as if it was collapsing, dragging her deeper into the unknown. And yet, here she stood, a fork in the road of fate. Maybe I don't know everything, Maria finally declared, her voice quiet but firm. But I want to. I won't hide from the truth, and I won't let anyone dictate my choices. The moment felt electric. And as Maria spoke, a new conviction began to awaken within her, bringing light where there had been shadows. Just then, Miriam caught her breath, eyes narrowing as if she sensed a shift in the air. What's next, Maria? She challenged, eyes glinting with malice. Are you really ready for what lies beyond? Maria turned fully to face Jake, who looked back at her, raw vulnerability etched in his features. The path ahead was fraught with uncertainty, but she felt an unfamiliar fire ignite in her chest. She wouldn't let anyone dictate her narrative anymore. Was she truly prepared to face whatever came next? The crowd awaited, the air thick with unspoken truths. In the depths of her heart, Maria felt something shift, a daring hope. All it took was a step into the dark. Was she ready to leap? Maria stood her ground, heart pounding. The world around her melted away, and all that mattered was Jake's unwavering gaze and the electric tension that erupted between them. She felt the eyes of the crowd, swirling with curiosity and judgment. But somehow it didn't scare her anymore. Instead, it fueled a fierce resolve. You made mistakes, Jake. We all did. Maria's voice trembled but held a strength she didn't know she possessed. But that doesn't define who we are now. I can't walk away just because of what other people think. And neither can you. Jake nodded, admiration glimmering in his eyes. You're right, Maria. I've spent too long trying to outrun who I used to be, trying to fit into a mold that wasn't mine. But I want to share my truth with you. Not just the dark parts, not just the ones that scare me, but all of it. Miriam's bemused smile faded as she sensed the tide turning. You think love can conquer all? That you can just sweep away a complicated past? You're naive. No, Maria said firmly, stepping towards her. I'm brave, and I'm done allowing fear to outweigh love. Jake, I want to know all of you, your past, your mistakes, everything. Her voice softened, sincerity weaving through her pleading eyes. You're not alone in this. I won't let you face it alone. The crowd murmured, captivated by the unfolding drama. Some nodded, others sighed, but the air vibrated with a shift. People started whispering their encouragements, rallying behind Maria's words. Jake took a deep breath, moving closer until he was inches from Maria. I'll share it all. Just know, it won't change how I feel about you. He turned back to Miriam, determination glimmering like steel in his gaze. You don't understand what we have. Every moment we've fought against adversity, fought against misconceptions together, we'll keep fighting. Suddenly, Miriam's sharp demeanor shifted. She seemed lost, losing the power she had wielded so easily. Her confidence crumpled. You really think this is your happy ending? Yes, I do. Jake shouted, the emotion in his voice echoing against the grand walls of the ballroom. And you're not gonna tear it apart. The applause grew louder, filling the space with burgeoning hope. Jake turned back to Maria, a mix of vulnerability and strength in his eyes. I've made mistakes, but I've learned. Together we can rise stronger. Tears glistened in Maria's eyes as warmth flooded through her. Thank you, Jake, she whispered, voice thick with emotion. For seeing me, for choosing me. Their shared gaze melted away doubt, fear replaced by something pure trust. And then, in the hush that followed, Jake took a step forward, anchoring them both in that moment. I'm ready to show you every part of me, Maria. He smiled gently, and it felt like everything shifted toward light and possibility. Around them, the crowd began to cheer louder, the atmosphere shimmering with excitement. Their support surged through the air, joining the two in a sense of liberation. Miriam blinked, losing her grip as Jake's convictions spread like wildfire. This isn't it. She stammered, trying to regain control. But there was no stopping the tide of legacy shifting before them. Isabella, Jake yelled, breaking her spell. It's time everyone understood that it's not just about wealth or name. It's about the values we hold dear, the love we nurture, and the respect we have for one another. With renewed strength, Maria stepped up beside him. This moment isn't just about our story. It's about using our voices to uplift those who feel silenced, just as I did. Every clap, every cheer confirmed it. Behind them, a new beginning emerged, one where Maria could finally rewrite her narrative free of the constraints of her past. Miriam's facade crumbled as the audience slowly turned away from her, laughing and mingling, drawn into the warmth and hope radiating between Jake and Maria. Let them talk, Jake continued softly, intertwining his fingers with hers. We'll show them love isn't bound by titles or pasts. Together we'll make our way, beyond the gossip, beyond the shadows. Tears spilled down Maria's cheeks as a smile broke free. In that moment, the weight of their shared past transformed into a testament of resilience. The shadows had lifted. Love blossomed where there once was doubt as the night wound down. They still stood hand in hand, facing the crowd together. With no regrets or fears, they took their first step toward a brighter future, hearts open, full of hope, ready for whatever life would bring. In unity, hand in hand, they walked toward the unknown, knowing they would face it together. Now, this is your moment. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss exclusive stories like this one. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. True fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Let us build this community together.